What's up, guys? Today on the VC Breweries podcast, we have Brittany from Naughty Pine Brewery in Westlake Village, California. They currently are not open. They're in the process of getting everything squared away so they can open towards the third quarter of this year. Let's listen to how she speaks about her past brewing experience, how she started up a different brewery, her experience in other breweries here in the area, and what made her want to open the brewery that she has currently in process. So, enjoy the show. Let me know what you think. Brittany Brewhard from Naughty Pine Brewery, soon to be in Westlake Village, California. Thank you for making time for me to hear your story. You are a pretty experienced brewer from what I researched online. And you're now bringing your knowledge of what you learned in your past endeavors to your own brewery, which is probably your second one, if my research is correct.
Yes.
Thanks for coming. Please let us know what Naughty Pine Brewery is all about.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I was excited when you reached out, and I'm sure you've noticed Ventura County specifically, the brewers are pretty open to helping other people break into the industry. So I'm excited to see what you bring to the table as well. Naughty Pine, yeah, it's we established our LLC in late 2020 in the middle of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We are kind of focusing on a stay small, take it all kind of team, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have plans for big distribution other than local Ventura County.
Mm-hmm.
I plan to focus on European style lagers and ales. I want to have classic styles on the board, but I also want to have some experimental beers with new ingredients that are up and coming, experiment with different yeast strains. As you know by your research, I come from Enegren, which we focused heavily on German lagers.
Mm-hmm.
That kicked in about a couple months after I started there. So that's where my brain's been at for the last 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to kind of get back to variety, if you will. However, I will always resort back to a lager anywhere I go. It's just kind of my love.
I would say traditional style beer is, I find, exciting given what's currently out there right now as far as what's on everyone's board.
Right. Yeah, not a lot of people are strictly focusing on classic styles. And it's hard to do because when you're a brewer, you have so much options out there now with all the different hops and the malts that are coming out. And there's always something new to experiment with. So I'm hoping for a healthy balance because I have a deep appreciation for classic style beer, but I'm looking forward to kind of playing around with some of the newer stuff that's come out too. We're going to have a 7-barrel system, which is pretty small compared to what you'll see at most of the breweries in Ventura. But I also have a 20-gallon homebrew system, for a lack of better words. It's a fancy homebrew system. So that's what I'll be using to really pump out a lot of small pilot batch, 15, 20-gallon batches of just random stuff. And if people like it, it might hit the big brew house or it may not. So
sounds great. And like I said, I mean, given what we've see right now, I think someone taking a step back and going traditional is pretty exciting. Naughty Pine, where does the name come from?
The name actually comes from our street. We live on Naughty Pine Street in Moore Park. We were at our neighbor's house during the pandemic, kind of when the shutdowns first started. So people were just, being casual, but still seeing each other, so to speak. And we were sharing stories about how everyone spells our street the naughty way, like you've been naughty.
Right.
And they can never find our house. We were all just kind of laughing over beers. And my friend Jeff goes, well, Naughty Pine, that'd be a great brewery name. He's like, would you ever do it? And I was like, oh, heck no. I've been there, done that, as you've seen.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
And then now here I am doing it again.
Well, it's in your blood. You can't get rid of it. Yeah. So you are in the process of getting your brewery up and running. I thought it would be interesting to interview you more than once along the process, if that's something that you're willing to do. You said you started it during the pandemic. And you started other, I mean, it wasn't around here, but you started another brewery. Do you find this go round during the pandemic easier, or your previous go round where we were not in this kind of situation easier?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, we opened our first brewery, as you've seen, Kohola Brewery in Maui, Hawaii. So that came with a whole different dynamic of, I don't want to say issues, but just things we had to be aware of, especially environmentally, opening a brewery there. We bought what you would call a turnkey brewery. So while it was turnkey, it came with a lot of things that needed fixing. It took a lot of time there, whereas here I kind of know a little more what I'm getting with my equipment. But as far as the pandemic goes, it's been rough in some aspects, but it's also been a little easier in some aspects. For example, I officially submitted for my special use permit in October. It got approved second week of December, which is pretty fast for the city. I will say the city of Thousand Oaks has been super, super, super awesome. They've been really quick to respond. They've been very involved with me, updating me every step of the way. Some of the delays or frustrations, I guess, would come with just the fact that the city's not open. You can't go in, you can't talk to people, you can't just, I had my plans ready to go, but I can't just walk in and hand it to someone. You wait for a locker, so it's contactless. So that created some delays when it came to our permitting process, which is what we're still in right now. But overall, I would say City of Thousand Oaks has been pretty awesome to work with as far as really being supportive, wanting another brewery, working as fast as they physically can with all the crazy stuff going on right now. So it hasn't been bad, that's for sure.
So you're Westlake, but you're on the Ventura County side of Westlake.
I'm still in Ventura County, Thousand Oaks city limit, so dealing with the city of TO. So it's been pretty good.
And when is and I don't want to pin you down, but when do you think your proposed launch date, I guess, for breaking ground? Have you started? I guess you can't start. Yeah, I think I saw on one of your posts that you have keys, at least, right?
Yeah, so we've got keys. We got our special use permit done. We've got our architectural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing plans all approved. We've got our sign-offs from, if you've opened a brewery, you think you've got all your sign-offs and another one sneaks up on you. So we've got fire department, health department, planning department, and right now we're working with water and sanitation to get that approved. Once that's done, we can pull building permits, and then we'll start demo and construction hopefully mid-March. So optimistically, I'd be opening sometime in August. And unrealistically fast approach would be July. A worst case scenario would be October. So
but
we'll see.
2020 is still you're still in 2020 when you do that. So
things are still looming. So I'm like,
when
we went into this, we prepared for 12 to 13 months. So that would take us into October. But like I said, the city's moved much quicker than I expected. So we've kind of been ahead of schedule so far.
And it's going to be I guess what we would call now a traditional brewery with kitchen and food available, or strictly a beer place?
It'll be strictly a beer place. We'll outsource for food, obviously delivery, food trucks, that sort of thing. I know Rock Chef Rolls parks on my corner twice a week, so that's pretty awesome. So it'll be traditional food. We will have tasting room with a small outdoor patio, so that'll be nice. It's cute. It's small. I call it my Polly Pocket brewery. It's really like tiny.
Yeah.
Like I've crammed everything into a very, very, very tight space.
Right.
But I'm very organized, so hopefully it'll all fit in there.
Yeah. I spoke to, so I'm in Oxnard. Down the street, I have a Red Tandem Brewery. They're a pretty small one. They're a neighborhood. They're in the middle of a neighborhood. So do you think you're going to be one of those kind of breweries, a neighborhood, small, she called herself the Cheers of Oxnard, where everyone knew each other's name in the brewery? Is that what you
that's
envision?
kind of the goal. That's kind of the envision. We want to stay small. family run, family operated. You know, I came from Enegren. They started small, then they got huge, and it was awesome. But it's also, it gave me a lot of perspective on big production brewery versus kind of tiny brewery. And my hope is by staying small, it'll give me that chance and opportunity to, like I said, pump out more of the pilot brew recipes, make more time for homebrew clubs and groups like Daughters of Ninkasi and Pink Boots, and just allow me to really be involved in the craft beer community more than just, you know, brewing and pumping out beer. So
are you still a home brewer? Do you have time to make your own stuff?
yeah, I'm drinking homebrew right now. I'm drinking oatmeal stout right now. Yeah, we homebrew right now only every 3 to 4 weeks, just because it's been pretty crazy getting the company up and running. Anybody who knows me in Ventura knows I loathe homebrewing. I'm so spoiled with like my trench drains and my commercial chemicals that
I can see that.
Homebrewing like drives me insane.
Yeah.
But I also need to play with recipes and things like that. So it's kind of my way to keep myself going, you know, without actually having my brew stand.
Right, because especially now, because you don't have any place to brew commercially, you still got to get your recipes, at least the skeleton recipe going. So you have those already in a little black book somewhere?
I do, yeah. I don't want to commit to any flagships yet, but I do have at least 3 or 4 recipes I know for sure will make it on the board. We'll have a few dark lagers in the winter. It's just something we've always brewed, and my husband and I are really good at, weirdly enough. And we'll have a few Belgians where we really like Belgian beer. But for sure to start off, my goal is to have a rye pale ale, which I homebrewed a few months ago. It went pretty fast. A stout in the winter. We have a really good oatmeal stout. That's what I'm drinking now. I'll have a wit beer. I probably won't have a hef. I'm not a hef fan, but I do like a good wit beer. A lot of people confuse them, but they are different. We'll see. I don't know. I'll have a rotating lager, at least one. I won't have a full board of lagers. I just won't have the capacity to start off, but there will be at least one for myself at all times.
Well, I think you're just shooting for good beer. Your quality over quantity is what you're shooting for, right?
Exactly. We're looking to have small batch, but focus on quality and innovation. It's kind of what I like to do.
So you're a member of the Pink Boots Society League. What is the official?
Pink Boots Society, and then they all have chapters. So we've been hoping to get a Ventura chapter up and running, but there's just not enough women here right now. So I'm a part of LA chapter. It's fun. We do on March 8th, we do the Women's International Brew Day, which is a collaboration brew day that is done not necessarily all on March 8th, but it's done within the time frame to release a beer during Women's Month all across the country. So I do that as a guest brewer down at Poseidon. I've been doing that for like 5 years.
Wow. You're LA chapter and you go all the way to Poseidon to do your
your brewing.
Yeah.
So Ventura's kind of roped into LA right now. It's just how it works. But yeah, it's a good society. It's been around a lot longer than I knew it was around.
And is it just do you guys do a lot of promotion to get more women into more women into brewing, and is the brewing a get into home brewing or get into the career field of brewing in general?
Pink Boots is really focused on getting women into the brewing industry, whether that be through tap room sales, brewing, social media. It supplies a gateway. So we brew these beers and we raise money, and these women apply for scholarships that help them get into the industry, whether it be an internship at a big brewery somewhere across seas, or a 6-week program somewhere for brewing education. That's kind of what it's all about. So yeah, it's mainly to support women and at least give them a foot in the door.
And I've seen was it the Set of Us Head House? You have homebrew clubs that are women only. So do you do a lot of outreach to those kind of groups?
That's kind of part of what I'm hoping to do with our brewery, is really get a little more involved with some of these homebrew groups, both the women and the regular ones. You know, you've got Tea Oaked here in Thousand Oaks. You've got Daughters of Ninkasi down in Ventura, which is like a women's beer drinking group. They're a huge supporter of all the local breweries in Ventura. You've got Tyler down at Brewed Up. She's in Ventura, in Los Angeles. She's a women's homebrew club. So it's kind of the goal is to have our brewery open, especially with our pilot system. I should have done this in the garage. I could have shown it to you, but it's the perfect size system to bring clubs like that in and let them kind of brew and teach and have fun. So
cool. And it's always good to get, well, you know, my oldest is 13. She turned 13 yesterday. We make it a point to, you know, do, you know, encourage or educate her on, you know, women's movement and, you know, inclusivity and everything that's going on. So it's especially in a industry dominated by men. I mean, it's good to have, you know, people that, you know, want to get as many women involved, you know, everybody drinks beer. So involved in this whole process, because, you know, you bring in a different palates to the table, right?
Yeah, of course. It's different palates, and we work differently, we think differently. We're not supposed to think like men. So it brings a whole different, you know, diversity and complexity to it. It's been interesting. I mean, we opened Kohola in 2013, and at that time women were not in beer. So it was interesting. Then when I started with Enegren in 2016, I heard of a few female brewers down in LA, but no one in Ventura. It just was like unheard of. Now you have to pay attention, but they're definitely, at least in our local area, there's quite a few women now involved in beer, whether it be, like I said, you've got bartenders, bar managers, you've got sales reps now, you've got Instagram influencers, you've got cellar women, brewers, distillers. I mean, it's definitely on the rise, so it's pretty cool.
Good. That's good. So you mentioned, at least doing my research, your first brewery in Hawaii, there was a lot of remote consultation. And then this isn't weird. This is what I researched on a quick research before I come home from work. So
right. Don't Google my name. It's weird. Like all of a sudden there's this me everywhere.
No, I made sure I put beer or brewer in the search line. So how was that experience doing a brewery startup remotely, consulting that way?
It was fun. I mean, it was before we had a child and responsibilities. So we had a lot of fun. We flew red eye out Friday night after work. We brewed or built or cleaned or did whatever we needed to do for like 36 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours straight.
Yeah.
Got on the red eye Sunday night and flew into the airport Monday morning and drove straight to work. So we did that for like a year and a half. I think we only saw the ocean twice. My husband only saw it once. I only saw it twice because I went for like a month by myself. But it was a lot of fun. There were challenges when it came to actually being open and operating, and then trying to run a brew team and a schedule from afar. That got a little challenging, but overall, it's just a lot of fun.
I also see you have a, for lack of a better term, a degree in brewology. Is that is that the official term that you use to refer to it?
I suppose, yeah. No, I've got my bachelor's in exercise science and sports medicine from Cal Lutheran. I'm about halfway through my master's program right now at Harriet Watt for bioscience and engineering for brewing and distilling. So yes, brewology degree of sorts. I'm through the it goes in 3 stages. It goes certificate, diploma, and then thesis for your master's. So I'm about halfway through diploma right now.
And what has that brought to your toolbox?
A lot of the book stuff. There's a lot more science and chemistry and engineering involved in brewing than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just steeping bags of grain and throwing in some hops and yeast.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what it's been. It's opened my eyes to a lot of really cool research, new ways breweries are doing things.
Mm-hmm.
It also, I think it's the reason why I got to speak at the MBAA year before last. And actually one of the guys that I studied regularly in my papers was there. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of like blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been interesting. It's been a lot more work than I would have expected. Like when I first went into it, I was like, oh, I'll kick like 2 or 3 classes at once. I'll get it done in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now I see why they were like, no, we really recommend one class at a time,
Mm-hmm.
especially because it's distance.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's online. I'm watching lectures either live or recorded. And then I still take paper or write papers and take tests just up at
Mm-hmm.
CSUN until the pandemic, of
All
course.
right. Yeah, yeah. We all have those aspirations of, doing those things in the shortest amount of time possible, but but life happens, right? Anyway, so I work with a guy. He's a pretty big in science. I won't mention his name because I didn't clear it with him first, but he's a home brewer, and he's an engineer, so he brings a lot of that science and research to his home brew as well. And from what I understand, he's a pretty good home brewer. Was won a couple of local contests, so any edge helps you in this
Yeah.
kind of endeavor.
Well, you'd be surprised what you'll use in brewing too. I mean, most of the brewers that have gone on to open breweries are engineers or scientists or
Mm-hmm.
used to be chemists or doctors. So it's interesting. I went, like I said, I did exercise science and sports medicine thinking, oh, I'm going to be a PT or a doctor. No,
Mm-hmm.
no, no. I
Mm-hmm.
can't touch people's bodies. It just doesn't work for me. My husband went on to be a PT. He's great at it.
Yeah.
But when I actually started really diving into the science of brewing, I could not believe how much stuff I was taking from my degree and applying to the brewing process,
Mm-hmm.
which is really cool. I do kind of wish I would have gone to school for like engineering.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, you're kind of on the job training right now, so I think it's honorary degree for sure.
yeah, I will say like I am, in the middle of school, but I think there's something to be said for getting experience first.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one thing I'm noticing. Like I can't imagine being in this program and not having been a brewer first and not having
Uh-huh.
applied everything I'm learning.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know
food
what
for
you don't
thought
know, right?
for people
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah. I mean, then you know what you really need to focus on, right? When you go into it.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for your time. So I'm going to hand it over to you so you can now let everyone know where they can find, at least on social media, Naughty Pine Brewery. Anything else you want to let everyone know? This is now your stage to let everyone know.
Put me on the spot.
No, well,
I don't got a lot right now. Like I said,
you should have your pitch already ready to go, I think.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, sort of. I'm working on getting used to that.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Working on the website right now. Working on some merch. I've had a lot of requests for merchandise already.
Yeah.
Even though we're not open.
But like you said, I mean, it's the name that gets everyone
yeah,
wanting on their t-shirt.
I know. I'm working on. I need to actually get a legit post up, really explaining the story behind the name. But
Yeah.
you've done it here for me, so that's awesome. Yeah, so just stay tuned for updates. Mainly on our Instagram. That's where I'm the most active.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're looking to break ground on construction mid-March, so you'll start seeing me with a sledgehammer in there demoing some walls, and if all goes well, we'll have our ABC and TTB approval sometime in, I would hope, July, and look for at least a soft opening in August. I'd be optimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, follow
Great.
us and stay tuned.
Yeah, it's great. No, I mean, the more beer, the better, I think. So,
yeah,
anyway,
never have too much.
So thank you for your time. Hopefully, next time we do this, we are soft opening close to that. We can see if we can touch base again and get an update. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck.
Of course. Thanks for having me on.
Great. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys, that was Brittany Brewhard from Naughty Pine Brewery in Westlake Village, California. If you know anyone else that should be on the podcast, let me know. Tag him here. Let him know. Have him contact me here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you find this video. Let me know what you guys think. I really enjoy speaking to everybody, listening to their stories on how they started up their brewery and their origin stories and such. Anyway, Andres from the VC Breweries podcast. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time.